All right, so I am going to show you how to do a couple different things. These are not going to be, not all of them anyway, are going to be required for you to submit them on Blackboard. There'll just be a couple of options that you have to choose between two things and another. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do this photo merge thing, but this isn't one of the things that you have to submit. I just want to show you how to do it. It's actually really quick and easy, but I'm just this week's sort of a catch-all of like other little random things that Photoshop kind of does that might not be like the most common thing you're going to use all the time, but it's nice to know that it can do these things and it might be useful for you in some way. So this particular video, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how to do Photomerge and then Zoomify. So first thing you're going to want to do is this, and this is the most difficult part. The rest of it's all very easy. Not that this part's even hard either, but what you want to do is take a collection of photos. Okay, so in this case I have these. Okay, let me just, okay, I guess it's going to go over here. All right, so I have all these photos, and what you would want to do if this was something that you want to do in the future is basically, it's best if you have a tripod, and then what you're going to do is you take your picture, and then you're going to take your camera and you're going to take a picture, right? Then you'll take another picture that has the previous picture in it. So see how I can see the clock in both this one and this one? So there's an overlap. It's very important that there's an overlap. And then you click, and then there's still an overlap from the previous one. And basically you take a picture just going around in a 360, okay? But it's very important that when you take the pictures, that the pictures would have spots that are in both images. Because what this is going to do, this photo merge, is that it's basically going to merge multiple photos to make one very large photo. But in order for it to be able to do that, it has to have parts that are the same so it knows how to combine them, okay? If you take a picture here and then the next picture is over here, there's nothing for it to know to merge those together. So it's better to take too many pictures than it is to take too few. So, just go every like 15 degrees or 5 degrees or whatever and just go around, okay? That's the most important thing. Now, this is easier if you have a tripod, because if you have a tripod, you could set it down, lock all the axes but the pan. So you could lock the tilt and the roll. You could lock those two and then only have pan available. That way you don't have any like movement up and down, and it'll be a nice linear thing. But you could hold it as long as you make sure you don't shake and what have you. But I would suggest even propping it on something would make it easier for you to take the photos. The other thing that you want to do when you take these is to, and this is actually a good example of what not to do to some degree. Like it's nice photos and everything, but you'll see in a second. Is that you want to make sure when you set your camera, I'm not a photographer, so usually what I do is I use auto, but I will set auto. So I will if you hold down the button, if you have a DSLR, it will autofocus and auto set like the exposure and all that other business, right? And the aperture. So I will set auto, and then you want to turn that off and then turn to manual. Whatever the auto's on, that will be the camera setting. The reason why you have to switch to manual is that when you're taking the photos from here and then here and then here and then here, it's very likely that the camera is going to reshift the focus. And if you look over here, I got to go full circle here. Oh, there we go. Actually, it's it right there. You see we're shining into the sun. So if it auto exposes for that, it's actually going to make the exposure quicker, and the image is going to be darker here because it's compensating for the light there. But if you have manual, it's not going to change any of those settings, and so you won't run into that. Okay, so you make sure that when you're taking the photos that you do it manually, because otherwise, now if you're using a phone, obviously, some phones actually do have that as a setting. You can turn that off, but you might not. So you just do the best you can with that. Also, when you do take photos, what you're taking photos of makes a big difference. So, for instance, the best time would be like noon when the sun's directly above you. You don't want to shoot into the sun, such as kind of here, because then it's going to mess up the photos a little bit because you're going to have that glare and the what do you call that? This stuff here, can't think of, lens flare, all that other business, which just isn't good. So you don't want to do that. Also, what you take photos of makes a difference. So obviously things with if there's a huge amount of reflections or Fresnel effect. So Fresnel is just like when you look at glass on the side, it becomes reflective, but you can look straight through it. But basically reflective or shiny or those kind of things. As you turn the camera, those surfaces will appear different, and so it'll actually kind of might mess it up a little bit. I haven't had any major issues with this, but just be aware that could happen. Certain things, like when you have these really kind of like mechanical or harsh patterns, those will become really obvious when it stitches the pattern, when it stitches the photos together. Things like grass or even trees to some extent, and like clouds and stuff. Well, not clouds, because clouds move. Also, you don't want things to move when you're doing this. That might cause some issues. And lastly, and probably the most important, really, is don't take photos of like the back of your house. Like, do something cool, you know, like you're on top of a mountain or in a valley or I don't know, just in the mall. I don't know, something. But take photos in somewhere interesting. Okay, so anyway, what you want to do is take a bunch of photos like this, and then you can see, right? So it just goes all the way around. Then you're going to open up the Photoshop. Okay, just put these over here. And we're not going to create a new file. We're actually going to have it make it for us. So you're going to go to File, Automate, and then you'll see Photomerge, ... Then you can just do auto's fine. It's going to blend the images together. The rest of that's fine. And then you're just going to we're going to choose Files, hit Browse. If you do Folder, it's just going to grab every image in that folder. And then I just got to find where I put those, which would be underneath Class, Materials, Visual Limiting, Week 3. Oops, not Week 3, be Week 11. It's Week 3 here, but Start, Photomerge. Okay, and I'll click on the first one, and I'm just going to hold Shift to select the last one. Just get all of them selected and hit Open, and then you'll see it should populate here. There it is. Yay! And then you'll hit OK. Now, depending on the strength of your computer and what have you, and the size of your images, this could take a decent amount of time. So it kind of depends. So you're going to see, you'll see what it's going to, I'll show you what the results are in a little bit, but I'm actually going to pause mine because my computer is actually kind of not particularly, it's in a very weakened state at the moment. So, because I have a video card. So I'm going to pause this video, but then when we come back, I'll show you what the results are. All right, so you can see it's starting to blend and what have you. But you're going to see it's going to go through. You can see it's making all these layers over here. And it's going to start blending them across. So I'm going to pause again. And voila, it has made our images. Pull this right over here. Okay. So basically what it's actually doing is it's making a very long document. And then all it's literally doing is if I turn these off over here, hopefully my computer can handle this okay. Okay. Actually, let me see. I think I could do, is it that one? There we go. What it's doing is it's going to each picture. It's placing them, you know, one after the other, all along the way. And then it's masking out the parts. And then the next one just matches up with it. And you can see this one's masked this way. And then it just basically combines them in that way. And it's just sort of auto-masking. Let me see. Shift. I was hoping it would turn all of them on. Alright, so we'll just go like this. Shink. Okay. If you ever need to just turn on one layer, I think it's Alt and click on one. Yeah, Alt and click on one will turn one layer on and then all the other ones off. So, but that's basically what it does. And if you look at the results, you can see it looks pretty good. I mean, I'm not going to say it's bad. But there are definitely some issues here and there. Now you could try to fix these on your own. So if you look, it looks like there's a little bit of a misalignment here. See how I got misaligned there? And also right here. This is kind of what I was talking about with the sun. See how right here, it's lighter right there and then darker there. And if you look around, you'll see more and more of those. But that's because the light is here. So basically, the exposure is a little bit different. So you can see this part's dark, dark, and then light again. And you can actually see a little bit of a line here. You can see a line right here because what it did is it compensated for the sun. So it made this part darker than this part because this wasn't looking into the sun. Okay. But anyway, that's pretty much what it's going to do. It's going to make this really long, kind of cool image. And this is nice because if you're trying to make a photo to like, show an area, this is one way of doing it. And there's more and more of these like programs out there, and I'm sure there'll be like a new one that's going to be like super great where they basically, you can do like a virtual visit. And a lot of it kind of uses things very similar to this. So you might be able to prep some of those images using this. Okay, so the next thing to do, now you could edit this if you wanted. You could like merge all these layers and all that. I'm not going to bother doing that, but you could potentially do that. But what I'm going to do now, so you can see right here, right? It's not terrible, but maybe if we merged it, we might be able to fix some of this. So what I'm going to do now is basically just, this is sort of a little cheesy thing you can do. You can export this out as what they call Photomerge, or not Photomerge, Zoomify. So you go to File, where are you? Export, and then you'll see Zoomify. And then we can choose the folder that we want to put it into. So I'm going to go Folder, and I'm going to go to my desktop, and we'll go to Class Materials. Class Materials, there we go, DI, 11, 11, finish. Okay, and we're going to put it right in here, and I'm going to make a new folder. There we go, just do it this way. New folder, and I'm just going to call it Zoomify. Okay, and we're going to use that folder. And then what'll happen is, let me see the rest of these. So browser defaults is 800 by 600. That's fine. Base name. Let's just call it Cecil Campus. Okay, and I'll hit OK. And what it's going to do is it's actually going to generate a web page, an HTML document. When you look in the web and stuff like my website, it's being generated by PHP, but what you're seeing is an HTML document. Okay. That's basically kind of the base file that the web is. So just like you open up a .doc in Microsoft Word, right, or a .psd inside of Photoshop, same basic concept. HTML is like kind of the main page, and then CSS and JavaScript and whatever else are other documents that help support that. But all the content is either in or connected through HTML. So this is actually going to make a web document. And what's going to do is it's going to take our image. It's going to put that, I think probably as multiple pictures. I'm not sure how it does exactly. We can look at it afterwards if you want. And then it's going to make an HTML document. And when you double click on it, you'll be able to kind of just scrub through it. And I think it did it. So let's go ahead and see what the results are. Oh, automatically opened it up for us too. And it's going to look like this. All right, let's pop this up here. And it looks pretty cool, right? Looks like my web, let me see if it's gonna, where is going on here? Where'd you come from? Get out of there. All right. Powered by Zoomify. Let's see. Let me try going to my thing here. Come on. Finish. Show you what it made anyway. Okay. So I put it in this folder called Zoomify. And then what it did is it made an HTML and it made this JavaScript, and then all the images are going to be held inside of this. So it has these different tiles. So made out of what we did. And so basically the entirety of it, in order for it to work, exists inside of this. I'm going to double click this and see if this opens up this time. Let's do Microsoft Edge, see what happens. Maybe it'll work better in there. I do not want to set you as default, and let me see, it's not working. I don't know. But what it normally was supposed to do is that you'll see basically inside this window will be our image, but it'll be zoomed in, and then you can kind of click and drag and like pan through and look through the image. And this is nice because, you know, I could send somebody that Photoshop document, but for one, they would have to have the Photoshop document. Or I could make it like, you know, a JPEG, but then it's going to be a really big picture, and then I have to zoom in, and it would be very difficult. This makes it a lot easier. I could send this to somebody, and then they could just work, you know, they could see in here and see what we're doing. I'm not sure why it's not working here, but that's what it is anyway. Yeah, so that's Zoom. That's this part's kind of honestly a little like a novelty. This isn't really that important, but the Photomerge could be useful for any number of things. I could see you using that for other things. Maybe if you're trying to combine, like you need a really big image and then you want to like use it afterwards in order to like, oh, I want to take a picture, an image over here, but I also want to use the environment over here. And this way, they would all be one big picture, and you kind of, choose where you want to put stuff, or you want to make a really large image. You can combine them that way. I know for 3D would be useful because we use our environments in order to light our characters and stuff. So you can take a one big 360 and then use that as a way to render all the way around the character. So, but that's what that is. Hopefully that made sense. I'm just going to go ahead and make the next one.